know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only one or two good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers, and welcome to Punk Lotto Pod. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
I'm your other co-host, Dylan Hensley.
Normally, this is the show where we choose one year at random and select one punk, hardcore, emo, or punk-adjacent album from that year to discuss. Except this week, we are being sponsored by one of our patrons. So, we got to choose a little bit. I'll go into a little bit more detail once I lay it out. But if you head to patreon.com/punklautopod, you too can sponsor an upcoming episode. We've done several of these throughout the years. You pay $10, one-time $10 donation, and you get to choose the album we devote an entire episode to, and we will hopefully cover it to your satisfaction. It's a fun idea. We've had a few people just pop in one time and then leave and don't ever do anything else with the show again. It was kind of funny. But yeah, if you just want to do that, you can do that too. You also get access to all of our weekly bonus audio for $1. That gives you our 2-in-1, which is what we did last week, our News of the World / I'm Listening combo, where we talk about news stories and what we listened to over the week. There's all sorts of other goodies there. I'm not going to do a hard sell on all the other tiers. The $10 tier is the main one I'm focused on today. But we also have a $5 tier where the producers get their name said on the show every single week. So shout out to our producers, Dave Brown, writer of the newsletter Oklahoma Lefty, and my co-host on Bookenders, Jason W., writer of the newsletter Songs About Chocolate and Girls, Steve Long, host of the podcast Rebel Nerd Radio, and Zach in Oregon. So if you want your name said, sign up for that $5 tier, and you get all other goodies as well. Very cool. So this week's episode is brought to us by our patron, Justin. He was actually on one of the episodes. He did I believe it's the Dillinger 4 episode, Midwestern Songs of the Americas. I think he guested on that one as well. And he is our Madball Mystery Caller, where we get some of our voicemails from. So you've heard his voice several times on the show, so you know him. And he's sponsored a few episodes in the past as well. And yeah, we always love when he sends us stuff. Except for that one time he sent us FYP. Still not happy about that one.
I love how we just don't even keep kayfabe. We're just like, he's the Madball Mystery Caller. Yeah.
Well, we broke it when he was on the show. I mean, I guess
I
could have just let people find that episode and learn that he's the Madball Mystery Caller. Yeah. But people know the score. It's there's no point in being secretive about it when we've already said it before in the past. But
that's what's ruined wrestling. Everybody shoots now.
It's a work shoot, brother.
You're shooting on what you did last week.
Yeah,
sitting there on podcasts being like, it's all fake. Well,
because everybody knows it's fake.
Yeah, I know, but you gotta pretend. That's the fun of it.
Yeah, kayfabe publications and podcasts aren't usually that fun to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want podcasts.
Yeah, like there's Pro Wrestling Illustrated is a kayfabe magazine, so it's entirely it's a real sport driven. So it's not they do fake interviews. They used to just make up interviews for wrestlers because they weren't real. So it's not the most fun, but yes. This was a Patreon-sponsored episode. So the album we're talking about today was released in the year 1996. And, of course, we like to take a look at what else is going on that same year. So take it away.
96, quite a bit, I put a lot of stuff on here, and I'll try to hit maybe just the bigger tentpoles, the main focuses. Certainly, we are, post-grunge, have a lot of alternative rock. I think this is a time period where a lot of alternative rock is also kind of punk adjacent. I mean, I guess alternative rock really comes from punk. So, a lot of different iterations here of what that could mean. There's some power pop, there's some more indie leaning stuff, there's more experimental stuff, more grunge leaning stuff. But Weezer put out Pinkerton, Modest Mouse put out This Is a Long Drive for Someone with Nothing to Think About, which I would also give 2 honk shoes to.
I like that one. That one's fun. I like that one.
I did not enjoy it the last time I revisited it, which was pretty recently. So
where are you on Modest Mouse? I don't think I've ever really heard you talk about them particularly fondly.
I liked them a lot at one point when I was in college. A few of their records, I certainly would have listened to them a lot, and then that was it. And I've said this before, but I feel like it's like I'm glad I had that period where I liked those Modest Mouse records. It's like the Neutral Milk Hotel record. I'm like, I loved that at one point, but I never need to hear it again. We got some Butthole Surfers.
I've tried with them. I can't do it. I don't know what it is about them that I can't do. Pepper, that's it. That's all I can stand is Pepper.
We got some Bush.
Bush X in Canada.
The Razor Blades Suitcase record is the one that Steve Albini did?
I believe it is, yes. Which is is it the first? No, first LP is like 16 Stone, right?
It's like the third LP or something.
Yeah.
It's after the big one.
Yeah. Is there anything on that record that we know?
On Razor Blade Suitcase? Probably, but barely. I don't know. I don't know them by name.
Let's see. It's probably Swallowed. Yeah, you know Swallowed.
Yeah.
Swallowed. Yeah, that song. Yeah. That's the big song. Because the rest are all like only in the couple 100,000 range. Gavin Rossdale.
But punk a little more proper. Pretty decent year for post-hardcore. Some of the bigger records would be like Unwound's Repetition. The first Ath Drive-In record, Acrobat Tenement. It's pretty rough around the edges. Slater Kinney's Call It Doctor. That's a great record.
Do you notice that you put Slater Kinney in different categories every single time we bring them up?
They're never one thing. They're not one thing.
It's just funny that it's just like, okay, this episode they're post-hardcore. Last one I think you had them on Garage Rock.
Yeah. It's like, where do they fit this week?
Yeah. Ride Girl's the only one they consistently go under, but even then, it's like they're usually the only one the year that they put out a record.
There's some Jawbox self-titled record, which is the
last
Savory
one, right?
follow-up, the last record.
Yeah.
Very big year for emo. It's like almost all Midwest emo at this point. It's pretty much everybody went all in on that sound in the last. I mean, there's like Building by Sincefield. And like, Texas Is the Reason, Do You Know Who You Are? I would not fully categorize as a Midwest emo record.
Yeah.
I would consider it more of an emo core record. But we've got Power Failing by Mineral, Christie Front Drive self-titled, Age of Octane by Braid, 30 Degrees Everywhere by Promise Ring. Like, there's a lot more names too that are just recognizable names that I left off because I didn't want to list 40 emo records.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice in this time period. It's pretty easy to group things. I left off a lot of there's some melodic hardcore stuff that's going on with hardcore at this time period, but I didn't find enough like really big stuff that I didn't want to mention later on. But it's a decent year for metalcore. Certainly is kind of the prevailing sound of hardcore at this time period. Converge put out Petitioning the Empty Sky. Earth Crisis put out their second album, Gomorrah Season Ends. It's not fully new metal yet.
Yeah, right.
They're grooving, though.
Yeah.
Bloodlet did Entheogen.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah. And Indecision put out Unorthodox, which rules. I love that record.
Masterpiece record. Their best record. Hands down. Their best record that it only is mixed. It wasn't mastered. And it was like still their best record.
It's a very big year for ska. We're hitting the boom.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got Turn the Radio Off by Real Big Fish, Destruction by Definition by Suicide Machines, Losing Streak by Less Than Jake, Sublime's self-titled record, Goldfinger's self-titled record. We've got Five Iron Frenzy's first record, Upbeats and Beatdowns. There's an OC Supertones record. There's an Assorted Jelly Beans record. There's a Spring Heel Jack record. Skank and Pickle, MU330. There's a shitload. There's so much ska in 96.
Yeah,
very much
big year for ska. It's funny that like 96 is kind of like the big blow up year for emo and ska at the same time. And they're both nerds, but it's different kinds of nerds.
Yeah, it's fun nerds.
Yeah. Loud colored clothing,
theater
goofy personality, over the top.
Marching band kids.
Sullen, depressed nerds. sweater vests and
trigonometry,
horn rim
AP
glasses.
history, chess club. And it wouldn't be the 90s without some punk blues and garage shit. I mean,
These are not high schoolers. These are 40-year-old men.
Yeah. Many of them questionable.
Yes.
John Spencer Blues Explosion put out Now I Gotta Worry.
Have you listened to any John Spencer Blues Explosion?
The one song that's in Baby Driver.
Yeah. They have like 1 billion records too. And it's just like, people really highly regard this stuff. And I have zero interest in any of it.
I don't want to hear a lot of this stuff, to be honest.
Yeah. Give it the Spanish pronunciation.
I think that might sound worse, actually. Gotta be really
I don't know.
careful
If
about
you do
the
a hard E
pronunciation.
on that one, that's going to be rough.
It's the name of the band. It's not a good name. Turbo Negro.
Ugh. Turbo
Their record,
Negro.
Ask Cobra. They're not racists.
They're just Swedish, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They might be racist if they're Swedish still, but
Yeah, that actually doesn't clear it up.
Yeah.
They've never been actually accused of anything.
no, they're just
Like, one of the guys
edgelord.
died recently.
It's like 90s edgelord stuff. That's really what
Yeah.
it is.
It's like, yeah. Well, it's like J Retard. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a regrettable name.
Yeah.
Stuck with that. And then he died. Now he can't
Yeah.
change it. That's just what he's called.
JR word. I've heard people just overpronounce it and say Rhea.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not how that word. Well, actually, there is no A in that actual word, so maybe you are supposed to give it an extra stank. But
You can say it like the classical music term for slowing down. Like, J Retard. The Helicopters.
more
Put out
Swedes.
Super Shitty to the Max.
I like that title.
I like that
Have
one.
you ever listened to Helicopters? I've never listened to them.
No. There's
you
a
like
guy.
There's a guy.
There's a guy who posts on the LA Craigslist. Has been posting for years. And the Helicopters is one of his references for like what he's trying to do. They're weird ones. There's like the Pretenders and like Hanoi Rocks.
What?
And like I'm just like and like
None of
like Space Hog, I think is in there. I'm just like,
what?
are you doing, dude? But
Those
he's
are
been
two-
posting forever.
They're too disparate, too different. Like, no one knows what you're trying to go for when you list all that stuff. Pick one.
He's going for like a new wave-ish 70s rock.
That's
with,
not
like,
the Helicopters.
some garage, I guess. I don't know. He seems like an asshole just from the listing. So I've never emailed him, but he's been posting for years. There's a Guitar Wolf record, because there's always a Guitar Wolf record.
Yeah. How many records do they have? Like 20?
Probably more, if I had to guess.
Just these like prolific artists who exist on a fan base. Like that's really the only reason, right? Like it's not even. There's never been commercial success. Maybe in Japan. I don't know if Guitar Wolf had any hits in Japan, but kind of doubt it. But
Only 15 Guitar Wolf LPs.
only 15. That's not.
Five EPs,
All
2 live
consuming.
albums.
All right, stay tuned for my next challengeography where I go through the entire Guitar Wolf discography.
I enjoy some Guitar Wolf. I don't think you're going to have fun with that. I think you're going to get tired of the riff.
It's one riff.
That's all riffs. And there's the Mummies. They have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like they put out records as an excuse for people to come see them live. Because it's just like something for them to sell at the merch table.
The costumes.
You're just going to see a bunch of guys dressed like mummies play surf rock.
Yeah. See somebody throw a 60s transistor organ around.
I mean, I bet it's fun. I bet all these bands are fun to see live. Maybe not John Spencer Blues Explosion, but
I don't know, though. Bell bottoms. Bell bottoms. But that song,
kills live.
that movie,
Soured like milk immediately.
fucking, it's hilarious because I loved that movie when it came out. Had a lot of fun, saw it in the theaters. It was a total blast. And I've rewatched it. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta look past the shitty people that are in it, but
There's several.
there's so many in Hollywood in general. I don't know.
Yeah. How are they all in the same movie together?
But like that movie, when it came out, I remember seeing somebody like saying they were like responding to a prompt or a question that was like, what's a movie that is universally praised that will soon be hated by everyone? And somebody said Baby Driver, and they were right.
Yeah. I saw a post that they're talking about the new Running Man that Edgar Wright directed, and the review basically said, Edgar Wright is the only director that you can rank his movies from best to worst by the order they were released in. Which, I'm like, I don't know. I bet The Running Man's probably better than Last Night in Soho, but I do like the idea.
I haven't seen The Running Man, so I don't know.
Either. I heard it's really fun. People I know who saw it loved it. So,
are we including his, Sparks movie?
I wouldn't. Scripted films. I mean, documentaries are scripted too, but...
There's some new metal. We got Roots by Sepultura.
Sepultura. Yeah, that is a great record. That is a really fun record. I like that a lot.
And I guess we don't actually count Rage Against the Machine as a new metal band. We just call them rap metal, but...
Yeah, rap rock. Yeah.
Evil Empire came out.
Big one.
Yeah. Fair amount of indie rock. Not as much stuff I'm that into, though. I've never clicked with Polvo or Guided by Voices or...
I think this is the era where like indie rock is like... This type of indie rock is starting to go down in popularity, and we're gonna have the fake indie rock come later, where it's just like...
The post-emo...
Yeah.
Softening of indie rock.
That's neither indie nor rocks.
Yeah. It's where you're like... It's like the twee and like Elephant Six stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like takes over, and it's more interesting. And then like... But it just generally softens indie rock in general, overall, indie music overall. And then we get into the indie pop era of the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, this episode, we do not have any almost picks, because we were given specific instructions on how to choose this record. So I'll basically just say, Justin reached out and he said, hey, I want to sponsor an episode. You mentioned them the other day. Was when he initially told me he was going to do this. You mentioned them the other day, and I thought, you should cover one of their records. So he told me, pick a J Church record. He didn't care which one it was, any J Church record. We've never covered them on the show, and his guideline was, I don't care which one it is, just pick one, because he just didn't care. He just was like, I like them all, so you can go with any of them. So our almost picks are, which J Church record are we going to choose?
Which I guess we could maybe spell out a little more what we were considering from the J Church discography.
Sure. There was a little stretch of records that I felt like would probably be the biggest ones to really talk about. So we were looking at the Rate Your Music page for J Church just to see like what the highest rated, what the most popular records are, just in general, just kind of getting an idea. And so initially, I was like, well, it's got to be probably one of these three. So, you tell I'm stalling.
It was like Arbor Vitae.
Yeah, that was one of them. That was the 1995 record, Arbor Vitae. That is the highest rated record on Rate Your Music. I think I've seen it also talked about as like the most critically acclaimed record in the J Church catalog. Ultimately, the reason why I guess we decided not to go with that one is because it's hard to find. It's like not streaming anywhere. You can get them on YouTube, but it's like just like a YouTube video of the whole record as one file, like 30 something tracks. Those are just kind of like not 30 tracks, 30-minute record. Those are kind of hard to listen to as far as like taking notes and everything like that. Not the easiest thing. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe not that one. The other big one that I was really considering is One Mississippi. That's the 2000 record. That one was notable for having Adam Pfaffler of Jawbreaker playing drums on it. And it's probably like his last like super notable J Church album. They did continue to release more stuff after that, but like that, the one we landed on and the two on either side of it are really the ones that stood out to me as like, those are the ones we should probably choose. And I guess we can go ahead and say we selected The Drama of Alienation by J Church.
The domination, just exploitation. don't need control when you use us all. Waking up in the new time sign. Late night show is not for everyone. A simple gesture, false future, no creation. Missing passions got caught in the rain again like last night. Couldn't get the sleep, so I took the time to write. 2 a.m. let's see what's on TV. Nothing's stopping you, there's nothing stopping me. And I'm waking up in the new time sun. And the late night show is not for everyone. When you read the signs, you may change your mind.
So some stats. J Church formed in 1992. They're from San Francisco, California. And they play a mix of punk rock, a little bit of pop punk. Really the way I think of it is it's poppy punk, but it's not like pop punk straight up. You know, it doesn't sound like a ton of his contemporaries. Sonically, it has a lot more in common with the San Francisco scene at the time.
Yeah. There's like but it's not like lookout pop punk either.
No. Yeah.
It's like J Church kind of exists between a few points, and I think that they are one of the most secretly influential bands of the 90s. And I think we can get into more of what I mean once we're talking about the record proper, but
Yeah, this is the fourth full-length studio album and was released on November 5th, 1996 on Honest Don's Records. The personnel on this album is Gardner Maxim on bass, Lance Hahn on guitar and vocals, and Reed Burgoyne on drums. We have some additional musicians with the Propaganda Ouija Board Choir on backing vocals, and the album was produced by the band as well as Ryan Green. And I asked him, is there anything you want me to say as far as why you chose J Church for us to talk about? And his response was, not really. I just think it's so strange that a prolific band with so many releases sprayed over multiple labels and a contributor to MMR, Maximum Rock and Roll, has such little documentation. With fucking awesome songs, I feel like they deserve the spotlight, and I was happy to pay $10 for them to get some props. He said, I didn't know one person who was into them growing up. And that's kind of true, right? Like, I mean, I know some people who listened to them, but they weren't, like, super fans of them. And they were like, oh yeah, I saw them live, it was fun. Like, that was kind of really the takeaway. And, like, they would admit to listening to some records, but not necessarily just super into the band as a whole, doesn't follow their catalog. He is I keep saying he. J Church is not a person. J Church is a band. Lance Hahn, who was the only constant member from beginning to end, was extremely prolific. They put out so many records. There are, like, probably more compilations than albums in their catalog, because a lot of what they put out are these, like, not true LPs. They're studio recordings, but they're from various sessions all kind of slapped together with a combination of, like, these are unreleased, these were new songs entirely, these songs were on a 7-inch, and so it's just like they have weird records in the catalog that are not just strictly compilations, and some that just have, like, original songs on them. So it's a huge catalog. Maybe the catalog size is what is overwhelming. Maybe there's a reason why people are like, I don't know where to go with J Church. It's hard to say exactly, but what is your background with J Church?
Pretty loose. I've heard some stuff over the years. So, like, I guess kind of where I was going with my J Church being a secretly influential band is, I feel like if you were into the kind of stuff we were into in the 2000s, the fest punk or core, if you were reading punk news with any regularity, you heard a J Church record. You have heard J Church. You had songs in your iTunes. You had a burned copy of something by J Church. Like, everyone has absorbed some J Church somewhere, somehow. Like, he's cut into everything. Like, J Church is the baby powder stepping on the punk coke. Like, it's there. Like, and J Church was doing what they were doing from the beginning, and what they're doing kind of exists between 3 or 4 different points, at different sounds of punk. And I think are very, very early to sounding like a D4 kind of gruff, pop punk.
Yeah. I see what you mean there. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a pop punk record, but it's like very poppy too. Like, there's lots of hooks. It doesn't, I think a lot of like the stuff that we call pop punk that people do have a little bit of issue with is the more like epithet kind of thing. Comes from skate punk sounding stuff, mixed in with a little bit of the like Lookout style. But yeah, J Church does not feel like Lookout. It doesn't feel like epithet. Doesn't feel like No Idea.
Does it feel like Ramones core?
No, it's not. No. My first experience with J Church, and I might be the biggest J Church fan I know, which is funny. My first introduction to them, I got a free copy of The Horror of Life at Fest. It's funny, we've already mentioned Fest, but it was Fest 7, and it was during their yard sale. The No Idea House used to do this yard sale where they put out their whole distro, and then also a bunch of like new stuff, like stuff that's coming out, test presses if you want to buy test presses. It was very cool, and it was like a really good opportunity for a lot of international people to come and just like buy a bunch of records and not have to pay crazy shipping to get everything. So it's a really fun experience. They did it for several years. Eventually, No Idea kind of gets phased out of Fest, and it's not really part of it anymore, even before their own kind of like downfall. Bad with accounting, really is, again, another thing. Punks, y'all got to take some accounting classes if you're going to start record labels, because you can't keep doing this. But yeah, so they would do this thing where they would just like, and here's our freebie pile. And they literally just walked out with boxes full of stuff, dead stock, stuff that's not selling, nobody's carrying. It's CDs in the vinyl revival era. Just
to circle back to the point on the No Idea bad with accounting thing, a charge led by a fake anarchist, by the way.
Was it led by?
I'm pretty sure.
I always thought it was Ryan from Off of Their Heads that was like the
Ryan?
one who was really pushing. I mean, Against Me took their records back from No Idea. Hot Water Music did too, but it's just because they signed to Rise Records, and Rise wanted to do all the vinyl for it, so they took it from them.
I think Rise just wanted to do it more than the Hot Water Music guys really cared.
Because I think Chris Waller then kept working with them with Ship Thieves stuff, so like clearly Chris didn't have a problem with it. Yeah. He also knew them personally. Ryan was like,
getting paid.
Probably. He's right there. He just go walk up and like, hey, give me my money. Yeah, Ryan Young from Off of Their Heads, he was like the big one. And one of his big talking points is they were doing like shirts, like, and the bands weren't getting any money from shirts too.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, they would dump out all this stuff. I got all sorts. That first year was the best year because I got so much stuff that first year. And then I guess they ran out of stuff to give away for free and had much less to give out as the years went on. Got so much garbage too. So much, like, why do I have all these Sam the Butcher 7 inches and Crucible LPs? Like, I don't want any of this either. But the J Church record was one that I was like, this is great. I like J Church now. Because I hadn't really listened to them before. I knew the name, but I'd never really listened to them. And The Horror of Life is like the last J Church record. It came out on No Idea Records. And it's okay. It's not even really one of the best J Church records. But it was just fun enough that I was like, this is really cool. I like this a lot. And then that growth continued when I ran across a copy of Prophylaxis at Repo Depot, which is the record store that used to be in Lenore, North Carolina, run by a couple guys from Anti-Scene. And I bought a copy of it there. And then after, like, while we were leaving, my buddy Grant, who runs Bitter Melody, was there too. And he was like, does it have the 7-inch in it? I was like, what 7-inch? There was no 7-inch in it. Apparently that record comes with a 7-inch, and it just wasn't there. And then the only other one early on is I bought a copy of the Measures compilation. I can't remember the name of it, but it had a split 7-inch with the Measure and J Church inside as a bonus. So that was my like introduction to J Church. And then from there, I started to really get into most of the rest of the catalog. So I still haven't heard everything J Church has put out, but I believe I've heard all the LPs and some of the big compilations, like 2 or 3 of the big ones, but there's like 6 or 7 more compilations too. But yeah, that is my kind of previous experience with the J Church. And now here's where we talk about the also-rans, the stuff that is similar or from the same kind of scene as J Church. So what do we have here?
So I was saying that J Church kind of exists between a few different points. You know, they're not really fully any of the scenes at the time. You know, I threw a lot in here, and it's mostly the stuff that is pop punk or skate punk, because I feel like that's maybe the closest. Mm-hmm. So Descendants put out Everything Sucks. Bad Religion put out The Gray Race. Keeping it in that skate punk sort of lane, Face to Face self-titled record came out that year. There's some other stuff that we'll talk about on the label and production side, because I just left those off. There's also, AFI, Very Proud of You, if you want to throw them in there. They're sort of skate punk, but also sort of melodic hardcore.
They hadn't got fully goth yet at this stage.
At a certain point, they get, I don't know exactly what to put. But AFI definitely fits within playing the, the same scene, really. And there's, like Mr. T Experience, that would be Bay Area as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lookout Punk, too.
Love is Dead. But, right, like Mr. T Experience, maybe more Lookout sounding than this.
Yeah.
There's your Ramones core stuff at this time. The Queers, Don't Back Down. Screeching Weasels, Bark Like a Dog. Chicks Dig It, self-titled. But, this isn't really Ramones core. But it certainly, overlaps to a degree. They very likely played shows with each other.
Oh, yeah. Probably all of them.
To me, the stuff that J Church probably sounds the most like Avail's 4 a.m. Friday. If you want to talk about what I'm thinking of J Church being very influential to, that orgcore punk, Avail's the headliner.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, J Church is in there. It's in the DNA. Bouncing Souls, Maniacal Laughter came out that year. I would maybe put that in the same category of influential to the gruff pop punk category.
You have this one further down, and I think it's actually a really good comparison, is Discount.
Yeah.
Taxi's All Right Tonight. J Church did 2 splits. One was an LP split, one was a 7-inch split with Discount. So that's a sonically kind of similar. Discount's another one that's just that DNA is in there. That is very strong, and it's not one specific genre either.
Yeah. Yeah, Discount also not talked about enough, I think, for what they influenced.
It's funny, and they're also tale of two different kind of bands, because J Church has a massive catalog, and Discount has a pretty small catalog. It's 2 LPs, and there's some 7 inches and stuff, but yeah, it's mainly those 2 records.
There's that Weston record.
Yeah.
Where James Alex of Beach Slang came from.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that maybe doesn't totally fit. Social Distortion, White Light, White Heat, White Trash. Just your generally pop-leaning kind of a punk band. Agent Orange has a record.
Well, we could look at the label as well now. So Honest Don's put this record out, and in 1996, Honest Don's also put out Diesel Boys' Cock Rock and Dancehall Crashers' The Old Record, which is a compilation of old Dancehall Crasher stuff. And that's it. It's a very small year. This is the first year of Honest Don's, too. The same year, Ryan Green, who co-produced this record, he also produced and engineered, in 1996, everything. NoFX's Heavy Petting Zoo, Propaganda's Less Talk More Rock, Swingin' Utter's a juvenile product of the working class, Nerf Herder's self-titled record, and then we have records by Strung Out, Pulley, Good Riddance, Guttermouth, Horace Pinker, that Diesel Boy record, and High Standard. So this dude was in demand. I think we discovered that too whenever we were doing, maybe we did that's not the Propaganda record we did. We did the one after that.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have run across Ryan Green before, and he's essentially the in-house producer for a lot of Fat Wreck.
What did we do by him? There was something recently.
He might have done the next Propaganda as well. Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. I don't know why I was blanking on the title of that one, but
yeah.
Oh, he did. That's the one. Okay. Yeah, so we would have talked about him last year at some point, or 2 years ago. I don't remember.
If I could have any expectations and look back a generation, what would be the case? My grandmother died with the mind of a child. All she did was smile and couldn't recognize my face. It's sad, but nothing more. I didn't feel better than the time I did before. And in my head, the feeling's coming closer all the time. Stronger does
let's dive into the story. So, prior to J Church, Lance Hahn and Gardner Maxim played together in the Hawaiian punk band Cringer. That band lasted from 1985 to 1991, until Lance and Maxim both moved to Los Angeles, where Maxim was attending college. They both wanted to continue working together, so they formed a new band called J Church in 1992, while living in San Francisco. I suspect he left college and went to San Francisco. The band is named after the J Church rail line in San Francisco that Lance would take every day for work, as well as to go to band practice. And the first year, the band went through several different drummers. So they started with Aaron Olson, who played on a handful of 7-inches. We have Brandon Murdoch, who played on their first 2 studio albums. And we have Adam Pfaffler of Jawbreaker, who only appeared on a couple singles initially. But like I said earlier, he does come back in the year 2000 to play on the album One Mississippi. So Brendan Murdoch would be replaced by drummer Wade Driver for a few singles, before he is replaced by Reed Burgoyne in time for their third studio album, Arbor Vitae. So the band released their first 2 albums on Allied Recordings. They did Quetzalcoatl in 1993 and Prophylaxis in 1994. That's followed by Arbor Vitae in 95, which was on Lance's own label, Honey Bear Records, as well as countless 7-inches and splits, comps, live albums, you name it. And J Church is definitely one of the most prolific punk artists of all time. It is estimated that they have put out 150 different releases. And for example, in 1996, the same year as this record, they also put out the split 7-inch with Discount, the split 7-inch with Fluff, the Dramatic History of a Boring Town 7-inch single, Undisputed King of Nothing 7-inch, the 7/15/95 Fireside Bowl live 7-inch, the Racked 7-inch, and Whorehouse Songs and Stories compilation. So for this record, they went into the studio at Razor's Edge Recordings in San Francisco with Ryan Green. And like I said, he was the kind of one of the main producers and engineers for Fat Wreck around that time. And he'd previously worked with, Lagwagon, No Use for a Name, and several others. And the Propagandhi Ouija Boys, what do they call it? The Propagandhi Ouija Board Choir consists of the members of Propagandhi. So they had actually done a tour of Japan with J Church. And when J Church got to Japan, no one was allowed into the country except for Lance. Gardner and Reed were not allowed in. And so for that whole tour, Propagandhi filled in as the rhythm section. It was mainly Chris Hanna, and they may have actually rotated all 3, because John's already out at this point. John's already out of Propagandhi by this point. So I think they all 3 members played. So that's the beginning of their kind of like their friendship. Now, Honest Don's was a sub-label of Fat Records and was designed to be a label for records that they felt didn't fit on the Fat Wreck proper. Why is J Church not fit on Fat Wreck proper? Is kind of my question, because, I don't know, it seems close enough. I don't think people are going to be like, what are you doing putting this here? I mean, they had Dancehall Crashers, and it's like, they had ska records on Fat Wreck, so I don't even understand that either. I don't know. I think they had
Propagandhi on.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why they thought they needed like a sub-label. I think they just wanted to try out a sub-label and see if you could do something different. Maybe it had a different like creative director. I'm not entirely sure on that, but yeah. Kind of a weird, because that label dies like fairly quickly. It's not a long-lasting label. But. All right, for the record, the song A Simple Gesture previously appears on the unofficial record Whorehouse Songs and Stories. And if you go to the J Church website, there is like a pretty detailed catalog of everything. And they do say in the notes for this that for some reason, the version of A Simple Gesture on the LP is the same version on that compilation. And they were like, I don't know why we did that. We didn't normally do that. It's just like a strange thing. It's also called A Simple Gesture on the album, and it's called Simple Gesture on the compilation. So it's kind of weird. The song Dramatic History of a Boring Town was released as the single for this record, and the album was released on LP, CD, and cassette. The art design is done by John Yates of Steelworks fame, and he's done tons of work for Bay Area artists, including Jawbreaker, Jello Biafra, and Neurosis. And this album cover is a very much almost like one of those jazz records. It's a photo of someone playing piano. They've got a cat on their lap, and it's kind of mainly a shot at the piano, black and white photo. And it's got the header where all the title of the record is, the band name. It's got the band members listed. It's kind of a thing that John Yates does now all the time.
Yeah.
Which at the time he wasn't.
Well, you could do it off and on.
Yeah.
He would pull from those Blue Note album covers and like those kinds of layouts. It's a good style. I mean, I see the appeal of it. He's gotten a little bit lazy with it.
he just
like
does that now. That's like all he does now. Yeah. The lyric sheet includes a list of suggested readings of anarchist literature. And if you go read it, it just has like the names of like books that you should read that are anarchist literature. Because we mentioned earlier, Lance Hahn wrote for Maximum Rock and Roll. He wrote reviews. He wrote about political stuff. He wrote about social, he wrote about theory, anarchism, feminism. Like, he was all the isms you could think of. He just did them all. And smart, like, knew his shit so well. Very steeped in theory. Like, just a really, really, like, interesting guy. Big reader, he read a lot.
Well, he's like Propaganda. Actually knows the shit and isn't just into punk rock to be edgy. Like a lot of guys were at this time.
And there were a lot of like smart people in the scene at the time. Yeah, you mentioned Propaganda. They're another band that's just like full of like really smart people who know stuff like anarchist literature. I think they would describe themselves more as socialist than anarchist. But there's an overlap. I think Lance described himself more anarchist than socialist, but to get one of them to function, I think you need a little bit of both, really. And reading the lyrics, there's stuff on relationships. There's stuff about playing in bands. There's songs about the death of a grandparent. There's some self-deprecation in here. Being embarrassed about your like old writing and how it's like you're reading a journal. There is some political stuff, but not super deep. There's not a ton of political stuff on here. I think that was more in his like MMR writing. I don't think that was so much his like songwriting, but he would do some stuff. And like there's the song on there about like how much San Francisco kind of sucks. It's not actually as good as people act like it is. So interestingly, at this time, people were very critical of J Church for signing to a big corporate label, Honest Don's subprint of Fat Wreck. Fat Wreck was a big label. I don't think it's fair to call them big corporate label.
Yeah, Fat Wreck is not corporate. They were an independent label.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of funny. And that shows you, like,
I guess they're corporate at this point with imprints.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one. But if it's a bunch of anarchists, I could see them being like, what are you doing playing with Fat Mike?
Yeah.
They're not anarchists. It's like, but Propaganda's over there. It's not like... they didn't sell out values like that there. Not at this point. Maybe later they will. But
I don't think it made J Church a lot of money.
No. Because this is like the only record they did with Honest Don's and Fat Wreck. But this is also the time where, Green Day and The Offspring were like huge mainstream artists too. So it was the backlash of like punk is now going mainstream. So you can't be on Fat Wreck because this is the next step to becoming mainstream rock. And it's like, I don't know. I think Lance would have held it together just fine as far as his politics.
I think the Bay Area scene had a very DIY focused community. Jawbreaker was singing songs about being called sellouts.
Yeah.
I think coming from the same scene, so.
Yeah, it happened. It happened a lot. It happened a lot in the 90s in that scene specifically. It already happened a lot in the 80s with Discord on the other coast. Especially with like Shudder to Think signing to a major label. And I guess you got a little.
We have the perspective from where we're standing now to see it didn't actually really make that much of a difference for J Church.
Yeah.
In the long run, and a lot of bands that would have been signed to Fat Wreck and Epitaph and any of those big labels at the time, the big indies.
Yeah. Yeah, it is one of those things where now people are just kind of like, I don't know. They don't really call sellout as much anymore.
Yeah, now it's like, get your bag, do the Taco Bell commercial. It's totally fine.
Yeah, I think the main thing people care about now is more the, like, where are your morals at? I think that matters to people more so than, like, if they're on a major label or anything like that. So, people like good politics in their music. It's not I think people just want to listen to something by people that they agree with. And in the sense of, like, you're not going to do anything like really shitty, are you? Is kind of I think that's what people really want. They just don't want the bands that they invest time and money into to turn out to be like, oh, you're shitty people. That sucks. I mean, it happens. It will happen.
I mean, I already called Laura Jane Grace a fake anarchist on this episode, so like,
yeah,
it does happen. I mean, the Pioneers guy was running a fucking sweatshop, and
yeah,
and
union busting, and
you know, like, I actually don't think that putting your music in truck commercials and is punk or cool. Or Taco Bell commercials or whatever.
I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's punk, but a band's gotta eat.
I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not dragging military gun out into the street over it. It's fine.
Yeah. I think the thing a lot of people are like the turnstile thing kind of came up to date the episode. The turnstile thing popped up recently where they were like, they're not political, they're fake political, blah, blah, blah. A lot of that came from the member who was kicked out of the band for Sour Grapes. That was a story we should have talked about on News of the World. We missed that one, but anyway.
Yeah.
Him getting kicked out of his new hardcore band after calling out Turnstile. But like one of the things is like you have this platform, use it, and they did. But I think people felt like they had to be forced to make a statement.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. I mean, that is a thing. People do performative takes. You know, like I don't think that it's, you know. I guess what I'm getting at is that I don't think that it's entirely out of the question or out of bounds to question the ethics of people, especially people who espouse leftist politics, when they take money from large corporations. And we all make compromises in how we deal with capitalism.
Everyone kind of picks their battles.
Yeah. But,
you know, yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I think it's worth challenging, I guess, is where I'm at. It doesn't necessarily, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, all the Feed the Beat bands are performing wokeness.
Right.
You know, like I'm not saying they're all fakes and phonies and sellouts and you should never support them and you're not a real punk or anything like that. I just think it's worth questioning, especially things that are tangible, like where your money comes from, in relation to your politics, in your stance, and what punk is as a grassroots, community organized, non-hierarchical, artistic expression. And I do think that's important to punk. I do think that's a really big part of it. And I know there's all, you know, Johnny Ramone was a Republican. You know, I get that. Like,
yeah.
Johnny Rotten is a Tory. You know, you know, there's always been conservatives in punk, and there's always been reactionaries, and there's, you know, plenty of shitty behavior, and a lot of people espouse good politics, and then they go, like, do what the guy from Anti-Flag did. Yeah. You know, and face no consequences for their actions. So.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't necessarily think that you're a bad person just because you feel like you don't want to use your platform. Some people are not political people, or they don't feel like they are capable of expressing their politics. Yeah, I think people just want to know. That's kind of the main thing. But
yeah, I mean, and on the other side, I think not letting people make mistakes in how they express their politics and like leads to a lot of sloganeering that is not especially helpful or substantial. It's just kind of like, oh, let me slap a rubber stamp, fuck ICE on this real quick.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing either. I think you can let people express their politics ineloquently and make mistakes if you understand the intent. But yeah. Anyway, I don't think J Church really made any mistakes, so it's not really relevant here.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about J Church, I'm like, nah, signing with Honest Dons is not like the sellout move that people acted like it was at the time. He finally got an opportunity where he could maybe make some money, and I suspect didn't. So, yeah.
And it could even, you know, it's just easily be just as much a case of not really doing it for how much he's going to get paid, and more to do with just more people are going to hear my records now.
Yeah. Like then one of the things that says, for God's sakes, we put anarchist literature references in our liner notes. Like, we took our platform and said, by the way, read this stuff. Like, it's really important stuff. You should check it out.
My images get so fast and clear. You'll never know I was here. Every chance is a sacred dance. Don't step on my career. Why you being such an asshole? You're not making anything better. Like I need a reason to write the stupid fuck a letter. I am the undisputed king of an infinite amount of nothing. Don't correct me when I'm wrong. I'm proud to wear the crown of fools. Nah, 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 nah. Nothing is nothing. Nothing is nothing. Nothing is nothing. Nothing is nothing.
The record itself. Background with this record? Did you know this one?
I think I've heard this one. I feel like this is one of the ones that I most likely would have heard, but it's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's probably the most popular record in their catalog. The Honest On Fabric Connection, that would be the one that people would have gotten a hold of. I think I have a copy of it on vinyl that I bought somewhere. Justin was telling me that this is the first one he bought, and he found it. I think he said he had never heard of it either. Like, he'd maybe heard the name, but he'd never, like, heard the music on it, and bought it blind. And it even had, like, a CD Warehouse sticker on the outside that he says he still has a copy of with the sticker still on it. And he's like, it's a record that has no physical value. It is not valuable to anyone monetarily, but it has a sentimental value to him that he's like, I would be very upset if I lost this record. And like, yeah, you could replace it probably very cheaply, but just like something about that one copy with the CD Warehouse label on it and everything. It's just like special, and it means something. And I get that. I totally understand that. Yeah, this is one that I knew well. I'd heard this one several times. I had a copy of it. It's one of the easiest ones you'll come across as far as the online. Like, that's the one kind of people kind of point to a lot. Arbor Vitae got that about like 10, 15 years ago. People talked about Arbor Vitae the most as far as like, that's the best record. But I think because it was on Honey Bear and all that stuff is out of print and it's like very hard to hear now, it has slipped in popularity. I need to re-listen to it. It's been a while since I've heard it. I would be curious to see if it does stand up as the actual best record in their catalog, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I love Prophylaxis too. That record's so fun. There's no bad records in the J Church catalog. No LPs at all that are disappointing. What did you think of it? Revisiting it.
I enjoyed it. You know, it's a very familiar sound. Even if I don't feel like I know this record super well, everything I've ever heard from J Church sounds consistent, despite the fact that there is no consistency other than Lance to the band.
To be fair, Maxim was in the band for a long time, but yeah, he's only about half their catalog. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. So like it's really just Lance is very familiar and consistent, and so there wasn't anything on this record that I thought like, oh, I know this song, or that's the boxcar of this record. Like, there's nothing like that. I don't think there's really much like that in the J Church discography, despite them being ever present, for a very long time. And like I said, everybody's heard some J Church. For some reason, I don't feel like they have like that one song or that one record. Like, even this one, like, I feel like this is probably the closest to being the one record that the majority of people have heard. But I don't think that I listened to this record enough when I had heard it before for it to sink in as being a particular standout. I've heard like compilations probably more than I've heard proper albums. So
yeah, like Nostalgic for Nothing or Camels, Spilled Coronas, Mariachi Bands, I think that's what that one's called. Yeah. I was trying to pull up to see what the like number, the most listened to song is in his catalog, at least on streaming, which isn't the best way to do it, but it's kind of all we have to really look at now. And the most listened to song, it looks like on Spotify, is Bomb from, which one is this one from? It's from Camel Spilled Corona and the Sound of Mariachi Band, so it's probably from some like random 7-inch. On YouTube, the number one song is My Favorite Place, which is on Nostalgic for Nothing, which is another compilation. So, yeah, the number one, like, most listened to J Church songs on streaming are off of compilations.
Yeah. The most popular stuff on Spotify for J Church, like top 10 songs, when you look at the top of the page, artist page, it's like this record, Nostalgic for Nothing, and Spilled Corona's Camel Spilled Corona and the Sound of Mariachi Bands. So, like,
and you know what's kind of funny? I was looking at it. My Favorite Place and Bomb are both the first songs on those compilations.
Yeah.
So you almost have to throw out first songs when you look at these, because they have an artificial like high number because it's the first song on the record. So yeah, I mean, I guess if you throw out the first songs, the next most popular song according to Spotify is Alone When She Dies, followed by Undisputed King of Nothing. If there was gonna be a song that I would say is the J Church song, it is probably Undisputed King of Nothing. But I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion. But
yeah. So, I enjoyed the record, like I said. I don't think I loved it. I don't think I was blown away by it or anything. But I get the appeal of J Church. I enjoy the sound of J Church. And I get the appeal of J Church as a prolific band as well. Like,
yeah.
that's your Deadhead, deep dive kind of mentality. That's your Guided by Voices of punk rock.
I love a prolific artist. I do. I spent a good chunk of last year listening to the Mike Knott catalog, which, like, I wound up doing, like, a look at everything he ever released, and he had over 100 releases under his name. And so it's a similar thing as J Church with 150 releases. Most of those 7 inches of singles, but still, that's a lot. I love a prolific artist. Superchunk's my favorite band, and they have 1 billion 7 inches and 4 compilations worth. Very similar to J Church, except they also have like 12 LPs or whatever, too, studio albums.
Yeah, I mean, I say that, but like, I also maybe just kind of like get what I need to out of what I get out of J Church. I also kind of get out of somebody like Radon, and they've got like
timeline-wise
3 records.
They kind of match up too with like when 28 was recorded. Wasn't 28 recorded like around the same time as this record? Maybe.
I know it was recorded earlier, quite a few years earlier than when it was released.
I think it came out in
98.
It was 98, so I think it must have been recorded around like 95. And they had more stuff going back to like early 90s too. So Radon and J Church actually have a lot of that overlap because they're early into their early orgcore is really what they are.
Yeah. And both very influential. And like an Oscar too, like a band like that.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind
like
of
2-record band, yeah.
But,
or a 15. 15 is another one.
15
Discount.
Have a shitload of records though.
Yeah, 15 have a ton, but yeah, Discount though. Like there are like a handful of these bands that kind of like are proto orgcore because they're not doing Epitaph. They're doing like a different kind of thing, and yeah, I that's the stuff I like the most too. Is that kind of stuff. So to me, this record's great. Like this, I listened to it. Like I'm super familiar with it, but it's like I listened back to it and I was like, I just enjoyed myself listening back to this record. I had such a good time listening to it. There's a lot of standouts on this record to me. Some really strong moments on this album. I think Smell It Rot, Alone When She Dies, Undisputed King of Nothing, like excellent songs. Like those would be like the huge standout tracks for me. And yeah, he's Lance as a singer he's not I'll say he's not like a super talented singer in the sense that he kind of just has a similar melody he kind of uses in like 3 different types of songs. He doesn't have a wide range for melody. He's melodic, like it's a consistent melody. He does the same kind of singing on most of his records. And it is a kind of a case of like, it's almost more about the writing than the actual singing for his music. Like, I'm not a huge lyrics guy, but I think Lance was a great lyric writer. Simple kind of like ideas to get across. Good ideas for like a song. Yeah, I think he's just like he's just one of those guys who can just write and write and write and write. I bet there's probably like thousands of like poems or lyrics that he's written that never even got used for songs. Like just one of those, just writing machines. I guarantee you he was one of those guys that just woke up and started writing right away, because that's like a, like a writing trick to like kind of keep yourself writing, is to just write. Don't even think about it, just start writing, and I don't know how, there's probably like differing opinions on how effective that is as a writer, if that makes you, but yeah, it's just like good ideas used for songs. There's not a lot on here lyrically that I was like, that was a miss. There's some stuff on here I was just like, that didn't really have a huge impact, but there's some songs on here that have really strong like impacts and themes that they're going through. So I always really liked Lance, just in general. I mean, I got into him after he'd already passed away, so it's not, I always came into them with a slightly like wistful, or just a little like, aw, Lance, the kind of feeling when I listen to J Church records. So I'm always going to have a more positive feeling towards them. I don't know what I would think of them in a vacuum, or what I would have thought of them, while he was still alive or not, but there is something. I have a sentimentality to J Church's records, and I feel like that even comes through his writing too, in some ways. Oh, so, you didn't love it. What works, what doesn't work for you on this one?
I mean, I think the lyrics are the most important part of J Church. He is a very good writer. It's accessible, but he has pretty impactful lines, and they're pretty repetitive, but they're not dumb.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that's worth saying again. Musically, it's, I guess, like, kind of standard for what it is, but I also feel like maybe this record, or J Church in general, is kind of ahead. So I want to give them credit for what they're doing, though I know that other people would do what they're doing later, and I think better, but nobody's really doing it the way that they were doing it at the time. And two, I do think the music, the guitar playing, the writing musically is more interesting than it even really has to be, because the lyrics are such a focal point of the band. They honestly could have just made the songs even simpler than they are. Not like they're super complicated, but there's just some thought went into writing the guitar riffs too, Mm-hmm. I think that really just shows across the record. It's a very consistent listen, and it's all pretty much in the same category of songs, but it's like, less than 30 minutes long, so...
Yeah, it's a 28-minute album, yeah.
The sameness is, like, very far from bothering me,
Yeah, if these were, like, 50-minute albums... this is 95, and this is the time period where there are super long records. But even, like, the first J Church record is, like, 93, I think is what I said, and, like, it's not super long. It's still, like, pretty tight. That's a pop sensibility to me. Like, he knows what makes, like, a good length record. He knows what, not to overdo it, not to have too many of the same kind of song, like, back to back.
The songs are all short. They're all 2-minute songs, pretty much.
Yeah, what's the longest on here? Is it probably, like, Santa Cruz, right?
Yeah, it's like 4.5 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty long song. But it is like the centerpiece of the record, it's middle. And lyrically, that's one of my favorites on the record, because it's like, the concept is much deeper for a relationship song than you typically imagine. Like, listening to that song, to me, the lyrics are basically like, yeah, we're together, and like, I'm just like, you're no fun to be around. You kind of suck. And like, we do these things, and you just complain about it the whole time, and like, if you broke up with me right now, like, I'd be fine, and I would not want you back. Like, there is like a later verse in it where it's like, leaving you cost me a few books. Like, I wanted to get away from you so bad that I was just like, I don't even care about my belongings. I just don't want to be with you anymore. But it's like almost a long enough relationship too, where it's like, I don't know, it was just like a really interesting like concept for a song, a relationship song, like a breakup song. Because usually breakup songs are all about, I miss you, I want you back, or they're like the shitty like misogynist, like saves the day bullshit, like that kind of like lyric. Yeah. This one is just like an adult man's lyrics. Like, this is like, I'm 30 plus years old. I've been in some relationships in the past. Some have been fun and more heartbreaking. This one's not going to break my heart if it ends. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a relationship that's just like kind of withering and dying.
yeah. And you're just kind of like stuck in the mud, you know, which is like, that's the kind of relationships that like a long marriage kind of turns into, you know, like it's an interesting topic for a song. And it's neat that it's like a 4.5 minute song. So you can tell it's a very personal one, you know. I do think Alone When She Dies is a pretty moving song too. It's about his like grandmother passing away, and she was like, she had dementia, and she basically died alone because she was like living with some family, but you know, they weren't aware it was happening when it happened. And it's like kind of thinking back on that, like the guilt and the shitty feelings of just being like, that sucks. She was alone. That's terrible. And like thinking about his own mother, you know, like getting older and like, it's like, will that happen to her one day? You know, songs like that also kind of hit even harder knowing the fact that Lance is gone. So it's just kind of like, man, a song about death by a dead guy. That's always like extra sad, you know? Dave Brown asked me once, he was like, do you guys have a playlist of songs you want played at your funeral? Because he was like, I do. And I was like, you know, I don't have an actual playlist, but it is a thing I've thought about. I've been like, and there have been songs that I've heard in my life that I was like, I would like this played at my funeral. I don't know if this would be one. Maybe it'd be on the list, but I don't know. It might be too specific of a concept too, since it was about like dementia specifically. But yeah.
I don't care what you play at my funeral.
Just throw me in the trash.
Throw me in the trash. No funeral taped to my back. What do I care? I'm dead.
Yeah. It's for the other people.
Well, they should listen to whatever they think they want to hear.
They should listen to what makes them think of me, not what I want to hear. It's like, I'm punishing you from beyond the grave to listen to these songs that you don't care about. It's like, you subjected me to it through life. Now I gotta hear it when you're dead?
I want you to play Leader of the Pack.
I want you to play one episode of our podcast in full. Well, let's do the aftermath. So, J Church goes on to release one more album on Honest Ons, so I was mistaken. They do have one more. One Mississippi comes out on Honest Ons in 2000. And then 2 more studio albums. That is No Ideas, Society is a Carnivorous Flower in 2004, which now there's a band called Carnivorous Flower, which I believe Ben Snakepit is in it because he played with Lance at some point. And The Whore of Life in 2007. This record would be Reed's final full length with J Church. He would play on a few more singles until the year 2000, and then he leaves. And this is also the last full length that Maxim would play on, as he would leave the band in 1998 because he was tired of the touring life. And Lance kind of explained like their touring process was they would do 1 month on, 1 month off, but they would tour the entire year. So basically they would do a month's worth of shows, take a month off to recoup, come right back. The idea was that month was to give them like, so they wouldn't burn out. But apparently that was it still caused Maxim to burn out. He's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. They'd been playing together too since the 80s.
You can't recover in that month. Like, you're just going to go home and like not really be able to commit to anything because you're just going to leave in a month again.
Yeah. And I think Lance made his money writing between band gigs. So like he could do that while he's on the road too. So it's kind of why he was always like, let's keep going. And while they had like a million drummers. And like I said, Maxim was on board for a long time. You know, he was in Cringer with him. And Cringer it was a couple year band, 5, 6, 7 years. Like it wasn't a short run. So, but they were in Hawaii then too. So their touring wouldn't have been anything. Because I don't think they toured the US as Cringer. So they might have come to like California and done some shows, but I get it. I get why you would be like, it's too much. It's too much touring. So, after years of suffering from kidney disease, Lance would pass away. I always forget this. He passed away October 21st, 2007. My birthday is October 21st. So it's, Lux Interior was born on October 21st. Lance Hahn passed away on October 21st. It's, kind of a day. But, he would die from complications from his kidney dialysis. He wound up going into a coma and then passing away in that coma. So when he passed away, that was the end of J Church. Because Lance was the only consistent member from beginning to end. So that is the J Church story. Did we win?
Yeah.
I agree. I agree very much so. What would you give it? What would you rate it?
I'm like maybe a 3.25. I don't typically go into quarter points, but I do feel like this one deserves a little extra, even if I'm not all the way to a 3.5.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 4.5. I really like this record a lot. I like most J Church records a lot. So, like, I give almost all the studio albums like a 4 to 4.5 in general. Maybe Horror of Life I would give like a 3.75, 3.5. I think that is the weakest record, but otherwise, yeah. This one I would give a 4.5. So, a little bit of a disparity between us on this one. Not as uniform of an opinion as we do sometimes, but all right. Yeah, I think that's everything. So, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening. We appreciate Justin for sponsoring this episode, so thank you. Thank you for doing that. Really, really appreciate it. And hopefully the episode came out to your satisfaction. But he's paid us a few times to talk about records, so yeah, I guess he likes how we do it. So if you head to all the social medias, we are there at punklotopod, punklotopod@gmail.com, and our voicemail line, 202-688-PUNK. Where are we following you, Dylan?
You can find me at Husker Dylan on like Instagram. I don't really use my personal Blue Sky, TikTok, and Major Awards Band on Blue Sky, Instagram. I think it's just Major Awards on TikTok. I don't remember the handle. I don't know. We aren't very active over on TikTok. And sometimes Twitter, only ever when I'm logged in to, like, I'm on the browser, because I can't look at Twitter with any regularity.
I mean, it's getting worse, too. It's just like, people are leaving it, and so it's all that's left is like some of the worst people. So it's not the most fun site to browse these days. But all right, that'll do it. So thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will talk to you next time.
To order Punk, call the number on your screen. Rush delivery is available. Remember, this special offer is not sold in stores.